Y estamos acá en la cancha, estamos en el Bernabéu donde viene Messi con la pelota, lo ve a Ronaldinho, la pide Ronaldinho, gol.
O toque de cabeça, olha chance, olha gol! Gol! Golaço!
¡Qué golazo!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time. But this week, or this episode, I don't even know what episode we're in. But today, or actually this is pre-recorded, I'm going to let you know. I finally got This Week in MLS in, and finally we had a chat. We spoke all about MLS, and that's what you're about to hear right now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much. This Week in MLS. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have This Week in MLS here. First of all, give them as many follows as you can, give them as many likes as you can, because dude, you got an awesome page. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I love all the stuff that you do. It's fantastic, and it's great. I admire what you do, and the other MLS guys, the MLS pages, because it's fantastic. You guys really are shedding a lot of light, a lot of good, positive light onto this league, because you obviously know, out of all people, there's a lot of European snobs that are like, oh, MLS is a retirement league, and I'm sure you, out of all people, get just annoyed and tired with it.
Yeah, well, I actually send Mimi Boy to kill off the Euro snobs, but so yeah, he takes the credit for that, but. Yeah, I gotta say, the reason why all these pages, including mine, have been successful have been because of the fans. The league, I'd say, has the best fans just because they might not know the most about the sport, but they're the most interested in learning and finding more information and just continuing to grow and grow with the sport, which is why I love doing what I do.
Right, now let me ask you a question. Why is it that now? Obviously, you were obviously born in the U.S., correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you obviously being born in the U.S. And soccer, is your sport. Well, on this show we call it football. We don't call it soccer.
Yeah.
Why is it that the MLS, aside from you being born here and having easy access to your local teams, why is it that MLS has got your attention? And why is it that you focus on it so much?
Well, I think the way the league is set up is a very intriguing option to most Americans, and I think that's why I fell in love with it. The fact that a new team could win every year. There's not a team that's usually on top of the table every single season, and you just know they're going to be at the top, and there's not a team that's always on the bottom. Yeah, like we've seen some teams recently, I don't know, stay near the top or stay near the bottom, but that could change any minute. It's all about the strategies that the front offices put into play, who they're able to bring in with the little money they have, and I find that very fascinating. But I also have to say, like, being in America and living in LA, a place that has a rich soccer culture and 2 MLS teams, it's very easy to just fall in love with it just because I love the sport. And looking on the other side of things, it's hard to pick and choose a team that plays across the world that I'm going to root for and just like be all out for. It's hard for me to find that club just because I'll never really see them play unless I visit once. But
okay.
I don't know. I think access is pretty big as well.
Right. Now, how many years have you been a fan and have been paying close attention to the MLS?
Okay, so the first game I went to was in 2007 with David Beckham. But
okay.
It was right when he came to America. My grandpa, who is a big European soccer fan, really wanted to see him play, so we went out. But I didn't really like fall in love with the league until maybe like 2012 with the Robbie Keane, Landon Donovan, David Beckham Galaxy.
Right.
That's when I really started to go all out for the league. And since then, I've just been a huge fan, trying to learn everything, every single player, every single stat. Yeah.
Since then, what have you seen that's been a negative? Let's start out with the negative. What have you seen that's been negative from the MLS till now? If, for an example, if you were in Don Garber's position, that you would change.
Yeah, this is actually a question I think about a lot. And I think the number one thing is the fact that every year we're seeing less and less Americans in starting lineups, which could be seen as a good thing. Hey, we're attracting all this talent from other leagues, so why would we need Americans? But at the same time, this is an American league, and a huge part of this league and what this league needs to accomplish more of is developing their homegrowns and college players and American players and developing them at the level of how Germans are developing their players in Germany. We need more of that, and we could still be the stepping stone into Europe, and we need to be that stepping stone for American players, but we need to be able to develop those American players more and have them in our rosters first.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'd see that. I understand that. That's true.
Like FC Dallas.
By the way, this is Fernando.
FC Dallas does a great job with youth development.
Exactly.
New York Red Bulls did a great job with their youth development. I really haven't heard a lot about Seattle, but I remember that in the beginning when Seattle first came in, they were doing good and they were playing a lot of their young players.
They're doing very good jobs. It's just all 24 teams need to be doing that at the minimum.
So it's I get where you're coming from with it, and I do agree with that. Like, I love the fact, because I'm an avid, biggest Red Bull fan you probably will ever meet. I love the fact that my team actually plays our young guys. You get me? I really, ever since, like, we probably only got a couple of, well, I would call them big guys because of that. They come in the game every day and they put their heart out. But the main squad, they're, like, all-American. You get me? Yeah,
exactly. And if you look at starting lineups from 2012, when I really started watching till now, you will see just less and less Americans.
A big decrease, And there's only certain teams that are continuing to actually do it. And if you look at them, those are the teams that continue to be successful.
Yeah, and I think actually a lot of the teams that aren't doing it are the expansion teams coming into the league.
Because it's like they're coming in and they're like, well, we need to have these big players because we don't know what our younger guys can do. They don't have faith, and you have to have kind of faith in your guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you look at an Atlanta or an LAFC per se, like, I think they're a good example. They don't really have Atlanta has some guys. They have some big young name prospects like George Bello, but those guys never actually get into the starting 11.
Yeah, I haven't, seen them like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
What now, so is that the only thing that you would change if, you were in the position to be able to change anything?
Well, I wouldn't be adding all of these expansion teams, but it is what it is. Don Garber
what is your point on that? On adding, 3 teams, every season, every other season that's been going on? Well,
yes.
So why wouldn't you do, add all these teams?
So I get the fact that we're trying to be an American league while still being a soccer league, which I think are two different things, as you see what soccer is like in South America.
Of course, 100% agree, yeah.
And then you look at an American league, the playoffs.
Yeah.
This league has 30 to 32 teams, and that's what MLS wants to be. But I think they're sacrificing too much the actual, what makes soccer and what makes soccer special.
Right.
And I think if you just make a 30-team league, it kind of ruins the whole, table part.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to establish, divisions that they have in baseball and basketball and football.
Right, yeah.
And if you really look at those sports, they're not global. They don't they don't power the world. You get me? It's not like around the whole world everybody knows about our basketball players because there's only one league. You get me? Really?
Yeah.
You never hear about these European leagues, and when you do, it's one player and they get bought real quick into the NBA and it's over.
Exactly.
So I agree with you with that. I feel like the MLS need to back off of that part of it. Release the cap span. Like there shouldn't be a cap span.
Yeah.
If a team can't afford a player, then they just can't afford it. And then I understand where the difference is between us and the other leagues is that's why every year, like you had just said, is like every year it's a different team that can win the cup because of the fact that the whole level is the whole field is level. You get me? Everybody has the same chances.
Which is why I'm fine with the current roster rules. Obviously, we'd like to see a free market in the league, but at the same time, that could also ruin the league in a way, which is like my whole argument against pro-rel. Even though I want promotion and relegation in the league, I don't see it's possible. I could go through that if you'd like.
Yeah, you know what? Because I am dying. I mean, ever since I've really got into understanding MLS, I've been dying to just yell on top of my lungs at Don Garber, like, dude, add it. But I do understand there are, things that need to be in place in order for that to happen. So give us your point of view on why do you think it should and why do you think it shouldn't.
All right, so promotion relegation. First of all, when it comes to the league as what they're striving to be, they're obviously trying to please Americans, not the European audience, but they're sacrificing the Europeans' respect, I guess, which is fine. But at the same time, I would like to see promotion relegation just because, to me, that's what soccer is.
Right.
We would have to create a second MLS league. I don't think the USL would be a good option to relegate to.
Now, how come? Real quick, how come?
Just because of, every MLS team has an affiliation with the USL team, so that would just totally destroy the USL.
Right, yeah, you're right.
So, we can't just have, the Galaxy 2 or New York Red Bulls 2 do well in the USL and then wait, they're in MLS.
With that, I get what you're saying, but I would think that that's where you get the development, and then you make its own league, a development league, where you have the U16s all the way to the U23s of that specific teams playing in those certain leagues like the Europeans do. And that's why, and then they play against other countries, and that's why the European soccer is always at the top of its quality, because since they're young, they're already playing against everybody around the world.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that's the disadvantage to us with it.
Yeah, also, when it comes to the USL thing, I think the competition in USL is too big of a step down from MLS.
Oh, okay.
In my opinion, because I feel like if you're on a USL team, you probably can't get on an MLS roster. 99% of the time.
Which I don't think is, correct, though. Because
no, sorry.
There are some USL players out there right now that deserve a spot on the starting 11 on an MLS team more than some of the players that are on an MLS team.
Yeah, I think you can make that case about a lot of people. I just feel like... let me think of it this way. I think a bench player on an MLS team would be like a star player on a USL team.
Okay. Yeah, I mean...
they'd be one of the top players on the USL team. But that's not really my argument.
Right.
So, I think in order for Pro-Rel to work, they would have to keep adding expansion teams for a while, and then just, cut it in half. And have two leagues.
Get up to, 32.
Right, and then break it in half.
Put 12 on the top, and the rest on the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would do.
Actually.
No, 12 and 16. It'll be better.
Why would you do 12 and then 18 on the
Well,
right?
I would probably do, so if we had 32 teams, I would do 18 on the top and then 14 on the bottom. I think that's the math.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I would do 18 and 14. Something like that. 20 and 12. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But there's a problem with all this, and that's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
So, I have this written out, so I'm just going to read what I said.
Yeah, go ahead.
The biggest issue would be abolishing the current roster rules and creating a free market in the league. And this is my summary for why a free market could ruin the league as is. So we talked about the competitive balance, and I think that has to do with ownership the most.
Okay.
In a free market type thing, because in MLS, I think there's the widest gap between the richest owner and the poorest owner.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think the majority of the owners could probably not financially do well in an open market, because I don't think we have the richest owners out of any sport in MLS.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, the average MLS owner is financially is definitely a lot lower than any other major pro sport in America.
I would
imagine.
imagine.
I think it's a problem because when you have the roster rules like we do, it levels the playing field for owners as well, and it makes it a bit more fair because certain owners have maybe like a net worth of $10 billion, and then you got an owner with a net worth of like $500 million.
Right, yeah, because then, we would have teams just collapsing left and right.
Exactly. I mean, you look at teams, I don't know, teams like LAFC, the Galaxy, New England Revolution, who have a rich owner, they would do fine.
Kraft.
Yeah, Robert Kraft, like a lot of the NFL owners, like they would be fine. Atlanta would be fine, but then you look at teams with not as wealthy owners like Chicago, FC Cincinnati, Columbus would be fine, but certain teams like that, they would not be able to just have a decent team ever. Market size, I think there's a bigger gap in market size per city in the U.S. versus other countries. Okay. So, basically, all the best players are going to want to go to the big markets. And then when you compare a market like Los Angeles to a place like Denver, Colorado, I think that's a bigger gap.
Yeah, definitely.
Than when you go to Germany and it's like Dortmund or Munich.
Right, like, yeah.
The market sizes are all relatively similar, so big name players would like to go to more teams there in like European countries, if you look at England and stuff like that. Yeah. But then in America, like, no one's going to want to play in certain areas. No big name guys.
Right, no, of course. Yeah, no, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, we already see it now in MLS. Mm-hmm. But, like, it would be way worse and to a bigger extent.
Oh, of course, hands down.
Yeah. Then, kind of like my American players point I said earlier, having a free market means teams can get whoever they want from wherever they want. So why would we have okay American players when you could get literally any player in Europe to come?
Right.
So we would just have less and less Americans on rosters than we do now, which is already saying a lot. Then we have the NCAA. I think if we established a free market in MLS, there would be no point in going to college to go pro.
How many college people do you actually see start?
Very few now.
I don't even recall. I remember the Red Bulls picking up a draft pick, and he played in Germany as well, and I don't even remember him playing in the field at all, ever.
Yeah, and we're seeing less and less NCAA players succeed, but I do think I don't think we should get rid of college as an option to go pro, because it has helped a few players who wouldn't have been able to get a pro contract otherwise. But yeah, obviously, like, college soccer is not the same as it was, and it's getting worse and worse in terms of getting players to the pro. But I think it's still a point I should make in this argument.
Right, yeah. No, I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and then lastly, the new soccer fans. I doubt the league would be able to gain new soccer fans because some teams will always be set up to be mediocre, and Americans can't handle mediocrity. That's just facts.
Right, yeah, no, that's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, a league like the Premier League would not work in America.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it's just... the culture's different. The way they view things are different. And, the United States is completely different from literally any part of the world. So it would be difficult to even implement, like, the South American League here. It would be, very, very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. just think about, I don't know, let's take a team like Huddersfield in the EPL. Let's pretend they're from Atlanta.
Okay.
And we're in this free market league. Atlanta fans would not be existent. I don't think anyone would give a crap about Huddersfield.
Right, yeah, true.
And I think that would just be bad for growing the sport in this country. If we had teams that are always just going to be okay, like that, will never really have a shot at the title.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's true. Damn, man.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point. Well, various good points that I never thought of.
Yeah, so that's like my argument against promotion relegation. Of course, I would like to see it, but I'm also a big soccer fan.
How about this better one? How about if they were just to take out the playoffs and whoever wins at the end of the season is the champion?
Well, I mean, I'm down for that. I think the MLS playoffs are really fun.
Yeah, they're fun and like they're intriguing and everything, but in the reality, I don't know if you played soccer, but when you play a whole season.
Oh yeah.
And that last game, and I did the whole season, and we done it, and it's basically for nothing. It's just so I can get a better seed. In the reality,
that's true.
We get the supporter shield because of the supporters? We gave that to them. You get me? We made that for them. The supporters did. So in reality, what is besides the number one seed, and besides from this year, there was not really no advantage for being the number one seed. I think besides for the past 2-3 years it's been like that if you're number one seed you get home advantage.
Yeah.
So besides from that, what's the advantage from being the best team in the league?
So I could tell you guys are Red Bull fans just by
Since 96.
He's like, all right, so I get the rage. You guys are Red Bull fans.
No, but it's not even on just as the Red Bull, because it has happened to the Red Bulls and it's happened to other teams as well.
Oh, yeah. No, you rarely see a number one seed win the MLS Cup, and I think that is a huge problem. Supporters Shield needs to have more meaning, and it needs to have more praise, because no one remembers the Supporters Shield winning team from 2002.
I was going to try to call it out, but I don't even remember.
No, it's so true.
I think the last one,
I mean, I bet you could come up with who won the MLS Cup every year, in a number of seconds. But, I can't name a Supporter Shield team from 1999 or whatever. I mean,
right.
I think it's Mutiny.
Stuff like that. I can name the MLS
99 is
Cup.
Mutiny.
Yeah, I can name the MLS Cup winners pretty much every single year, but other than, if we go back beyond 5 years, I probably couldn't name a Supporter Shield winner for you just off the top of my head.
Right,
and I think that's a problem with
I only know,
how
I think,
things are
15,
going in the league.
18, and 13.
Yeah, no, I'm a Galaxy fan, and I, don't even remember, the Supporter Shields. No, they're not held with any meaning.
Now, quick question: with the DPs, why don't the DP rule apply to you guys? Or how do you guys get around it all the time?
Talking about this situation that happened this summer or this winter.
Well, what they cut Giovanni?
Yeah. So, now we have 3 DPs, and we're totally legal.
Considerably, you have 3 DPs under the pay range. You have 3 DPs
under the pay range. Well, I'd say we'd still have 3 DPs now, cutting Giovanni Dos Santos. Last year I think was a bigger issue, having Zlatan not be a DP. How are we able to do this? I think the Galaxy got lucky that Zlatan was willing to get paid way less than he's worth. Everything that happened last season was technically legal. It shouldn't have been legal, but it was. Zlatan should not have been paid $1.5 million. We all agree he should be one of the highest paid players in the league.
If not the highest.
Yeah, if not the highest. Obviously, he's the most marketable. But
oh yeah, definitely.
Had we kept Giovanni Dos Santos, I think we'd have a better discussion about this. But I'm glad they chose to get rid of him rather than sell Roman Alessandrini, even though he's injured. Or let Zlatan go to Europe again.
What do you think about the altercation with Zlatan and Son Johnson?
So I was there. The problem is, it was hard for me to see the exact angle. So from where I was, I didn't see anything bad, but then you look at the replay and you obviously see the choking or whatever it was. And I think he's going to get fined. Unfortunately, I mean, it's Zlatan. I hate to say that, like, players get, like, rewards or, like, priority, but, like, the league is going to make sure that their big-name players are in games. So they're probably going to... So I don't see any suspensions ever given to Zlatan. I think they're just going to keep fining him. I think it should be a hefty fine, but, yeah.
I agree with you. I kind of think Sean Johnson should get a fine also.
Oh, yeah.
Because I kind of feel like he made it happen. Like, there was no reason to step up to him that direct. He literally made a 180 and walked straight into Zlatan.
Yeah. I did see that, and that was given a yellow. I don't think it deserved to get anything more than a yellow. Maybe a nice little fine. It won't be a big one. I think Zlatan would probably get the larger fine here for
reaction.
Yeah, for the hands-on thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw that, I think, early this morning.
I thought he grabbed him by the pressure point.
No, because, at first I saw it, and obviously the camera is zoomed out, at its normal angle, and I saw it, and I was like, that's a weird way to fall. And then it zoomed in, and I saw, from what I saw, was Sean Johnson kind of, like, instigated for Zlatan to react, and then he kind of just pushed Zlatan, and they both fell, and then Sean Johnson pulled a Neymar and like started reacting weird, and I was like, you didn't get hit or anything, so I don't know why you're reacting as if you got smacked in the face. But yeah, I found that weird.
That is true.
Now, damn, I just had my next question. Oh, what do you think happened to, despite the fact that Atlanta lost their head coach and Miguel Almiron, what do you think has happened to them from last year, from only a couple months ago till now, to the point where they don't, to me personally, they don't seem as fierce as they were last year and the year before?
Yeah, so... And I agree, and I think that actually has to do with the coach. I don't think they downgraded,
right,
by getting Frank de Boer as much as like people think they have. People think Tata's the best by far, blah blah blah, whatever. But now that you have,
he's like, whatever, okay.
No, I mean, sorry.
No, it's all right. Hey, all honesty, man.
It's all good.
I don't think he's like the like greatest coach, like all hail Tata Martino.
Yeah,
like
no.
Atlanta fans been like
exactly.
I just think it's a style change that we've seen with Atlanta United. I think last year they were all high press a lot of the time, but I have noticed them sitting back a bit more this year.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's hard to press when you don't have the player to press. Like,
that is true.
I understand they brought in Pity Martinez,
right?
Yeah,
but he's a forward. They had a forward.
Right.
They needed something to connect their defense.
They need a number 10.
Offense,
they need a number 10, yeah.
So they basically got another guy that was a great player, but they're trying to put him in a position that's not him. Like, now they have two great forwards, but how is the ball flowing to them?
But they don't have a distributor. Right.
And when Nagby played with Almiron, it was actually really... I don't like Atlanta, but the way that they play together, it's actually like phenomenal.
Right.
The way they push and the way they did it. You can't take away from that.
Right,
and Nagby's been in the championship, the playoffs. He knows how to get there.
Yeah.
He did it with Portland.
Yeah.
He did it with Atlanta.
He did it with Atlanta.
He'll do it, I think, with any team.
Well, actually, yeah. And I 100% agree with that. I would like to add, I think Atlanta has been a lot better in the past month than they were.
They started very shaky
because they didn't play the board's game, and I feel like now they're playing more of his game. They're trusting him, and it's showing.
Right.
Yeah, they're playing a lot better, and they're getting results now, which is great. They're not scoring like they were last year, not any crazy titles, but I mean, I gotta say their defense has looked excellent. I think adding Miles Robinson into the starting lineup, a nice young fresh legs in there, has been terrific for them. And I think we're going to start seeing them rise up on the table a bit more. I don't think they're like the supporter. Oh wait, they didn't win the supporter shield last year, but I don't think they're going to be like the most dominant team in the league like they were last year.
Right.
But I do think they're going to be an Eastern Conference contender. I think they could have a big shot at getting back to the MLS Cup. I'm not really worried about this team.
Now, let me ask you a question, since you are in LA based and you go for LAFC and LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest difference or anything interesting that you can tell us ever since the arrival of LAFC, and what has it done to LA Galaxy?
Okay, so I have mixed feelings personally. So I've seen it all, and
Right.
It's been great. And LAFC has actually really helped grow the sport in Los Angeles. My one thing is, a lot of people who weren't into soccer and now are because of LAFC, they're acting like LAFC or the LA Galaxy never existed, which is a problem with me, given the fact that most historic franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the different mentalities each fan base has. And I think that doesn't get talked a lot about, even though like they are very fierce rivals, the fan bases, and we've seen them fight and fight. I literally witnessed a fight this week as I went to that.
Really?
I was at that soccer event.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on your story. Right.
Yeah, so that went crazy. But it's interesting because like both of the franchises are just so different in how they're run, and so you go to a LA Galaxy game, and you're with their fan base, and it's all like family oriented. It's like, welcome to the family. My son over here, this little Sparky, is like a second generation season ticket holder. You know, our family. We bring our whole family. We got 8 to 10 seats. You know,
Right.
our like the supporters groups, like they're like brothers and sisters and
Okay.
anything in between. And then you go to LAFC games, it's like, we're gonna fight you.
What? Yeah.
Like, the fan base at the LAFC fan base, and it's honestly gnarly. I like it. It's cool.
Right.
But yeah, they're like, if you're not one of us, you're dead.
Wow.
It's like that mentality. Like, they're almost like a gang mentality in their supporter group.
Wow,
And
that's crazy. That actually sounds a lot like when I used to have season tickets at the Red Bull Arena. I mean,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. I mean, if because it was me and my fiance, we had season tickets for a good 3 seasons, and if we didn't stand up and clap and sing every single song, they wanted us out there. And at one point, because I don't know over there in LAFC and LA Galaxy, but here in the Red Bulls, the supporter section is the cheapest season ticket you can get. Now, obviously, we were very tight, you know, because we had our first apartment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we were paying for the season tickets alone, and we were like, you know what, it's cheap, you know, and it seems fun. But after a while, you know, especially me being very passionate about the sport, I wanted to just sit down and enjoy the game. But it's like, no, get the fuck up and sing with us. If not, get the fuck up. And they would throw stuff at people, like throw food or cops, whatever. If you're not up and singing, you're getting your ass beat. I mean, verbally and possibly even physically. I have no idea.
I get those vibes at LAFC games.
Yeah,
and
it's like...
I don't get those at Galaxy games, and I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Right, no, of course not.
I think they're both very creative. I think both fan bases are awesome, and I love the support from them. I'm just making a little observation on how they're treated. I think Galaxy fans are a bit more open to talking to other team fans, but like, I would be terrified if I were an away fan at an LAFC game. There's a reason why the away section at LAFC is on the highest level and very tucked away in the corner. And then the Galaxy, the away supporter section is really close to the Galaxy one of the Galaxy supporter sections. They're like right on the same area.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I know it's a
very
very
big
small thing, but like small things sometimes add up and they make a big impact. Like,
Definitely.
If I were, I don't know, just because you're Red Bull fans, if I were a Red Bull fan at the Bank of California Stadium, I'd be shitting myself.
Oh my God!
They're
All right,
pretty intimidating. I'd say LAFC fan base pretty intimidating.
I'll make note, and I'll never go to an LAFC game. Never.
Just like show up in black.
Show up in black and just have a Red Bull jersey under ready to walk out the stadium.
Yeah, but I will say there are also things that are really cool. Galaxy, they have their foundations and everything, but I think what I like about LAFC is how the players are very accessible. And they always, you'll see players at the end of the game at LAFC just go down the aisles of place, or not aisles, but go down the field and just sign autographs along the lines. Just sign everyone's stuff. And that's so cool. I love that. At the end of the game, if you're able to get down to the lower club, all the players just go out and get food and eat and drinks with fans and everything. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, it's very nice and intimate.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like if you could get to the lower club, which is, you have to get like a special wristband, or like you have to get tickets that give you that access. But if you have that access, you're able to just like chill with players at the end of games, and it's so cool.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that must be a great experience. Now let me ask you: do you not get nervous at all? Like, don't you get like those butterflies in your stomach? But at the same time, you're like, shit, I hope I don't fuck up. I hope I don't fuck up. I hope I don't fuck up and say something stupid. You know what I'm saying? Do you get, or you, at this point? I would imagine at this point, you being experienced, you're like one of the bros, right?
Yeah. Well, I've never been nervous when meeting athletes. Actually, no, when meeting soccer players. Because when I meet soccer players, I mean business, and like I turn that on. I don't know. I have I have a switch that I could just like turn on,
right?
And like I don't get nervous. Now musicians, on the other hand, like I literally just can't speak. Like every time I've met a musician, I've like how do you tell someone that they've like their songs about sad things like mean so much to you? Like how do you tell an artist that? Like,
yeah, no, I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
I'd probably shit my pants.
Yeah, like. How I feel like with musicians it's different because like they touch you emotionally, but like soccer players, yeah, you might like them or you might dislike them, but it's not, they don't have like that, I don't know, that soul feeling to you.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like, scared.
True.
I bet it happens a bit more in Europe when you see like a guy like Ronaldo or stuff. But
of course.
Yeah, I don't really talk with the biggest name players. Like Vela has no idea who I am. Stuff like that. Like, I would probably be nervous talking to Vela, Zlatan, big names like that, Wayne Rooney. But when it comes to, like, the household, the guys that I've seen grow up and stuff, like, I want to just talk with them and stuff. It's a bit easier. And, it certainly has gotten easier now that more of them know me, but, yeah. That's
awesome. Now that we mentioned players, who is the biggest player that you've ever met? Doesn't have to be MLS. It could be, during the summer when we have the Intercontinental Champions Cup, I think it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be one of them but who is the biggest player that you've ever met?
Do I do a biggest name or biggest meaning to me?
Do both, now that you brought it up.
Okay. Well, biggest name... This was like as me being a fan, but I met Donovan back in the day, and
that's awesome.
That was amazing. It was just like it was a very lucky. I don't know how I was able to pull this off, but it was just like a meet and greet at the end of a game for fans.
Oh, nice.
I was very young then. I was like, or not very young, but I was like 12.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm just seeing a dude like that. But the player that means the most to me, he's been my favorite player since 2013.
Okay.
Just like my favorite soccer player ever, for some reason. But Lee Win, when I met him,
yeah, I saw that on your page, and I was like, I'm guessing this is his favorite. It has to be.
Yeah, Lee Win has been my favorite player since 2013, and when I finally got to meet him last season, and then he followed me on Instagram right after I met him.
Whoa.
That was like the best moment. That was like my favorite moment ever.
Wow, dude, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, and I was very nervous meeting him. He was probably the player I was most nervous meeting.
Now, what attracted you to, I mean, is it his playing style or just the genuine guy that he is, or what is it that? What is it that drew you to him?
A number of things. One, his hair was amazing.
Oh yeah, I love that guy's hair.
And just like the styles that he went through, I thought were the coolest.
Yeah, definitely.
Fell in love with him as he. I mean, he has an incredible story. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, they have a documentary about him on YouTube. It's like 20 minutes, but it's so good. Just like the odds he faced, kind of.
Okay.
I mean, he was seen as someone who would never make it, but then sort of did. Then went all the way to Vietnam to play and became a star out there.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, he's actually from Texas, which is interesting.
Oh,
and then he got cut by the Vancouver Whitecaps and then got picked up by the Revs. And then all of a sudden, boom, becomes a star.
Yeah.
And I love that story. I've always loved his playmaking ability. Certain things he does off ball, really, really fun to watch. And yeah, obviously the hair, all the hairstyles he's gone through. The name, Win.
Yeah, I know.
So
I remember. I think it took me like 2 seasons. I was always like, how do you pronounce that goddamn name? And then I remember watching, because I think it was a playoff, Rebels versus Revs, and I remember the announcer saying "win." I'm like, there's nobody with WIN. I don't see anything like that.
Yeah.
And then finally one day it was like, dude, that's how you pronounce his name. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? It took me 2 goddamn seasons to figure that out. Why didn't anybody fucking tell me? Like, I was just so pissed. I'm like, oh, okay. And it is interesting. I mean, the way you spell it, but the way you pronounce it, I'm like, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, I love Lee Win. Just everything about him. I love what he meant to the New England Revolution when they made it to the MLS Cup against the LA Galaxy.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Stuff like that. Like, I just love him. There's nothing really more I could say. I just love the dude.
Right. Now, to wrap this up, because, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
Okay. With all that you've seen, because you obviously you have experience from 2007, you grew more interest in 2012, right? If I'm not correct.
Yeah.
So basically from 2012 till 2019 that we're in, what do you see that is good from the MLS that is transitioning into the national team?
Ooh. That's a bit rough.
Yeah, I know. I know, because we've witnessed a lot of downs more than ups.
Yeah. I can't really say that the league has completely helped the USMNT, but I do think the league has helped develop certain names that will be on the U.S. national team going forward.
Obviously, more recently, like...
way more recently.
Yeah.
Like, if you asked me this question 2015, I would have no answer. I'd say the league has done nothing for the USMNT.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
But now when you see guys like Tyler Adams develop, played great in MLS, and now he's playing great in Germany.
Right.
And he's going to be a huge part of the national team. Players like that, I guess that's the way the league has helped the national team, just by developing those players. And I have to say, the academies are getting better, but I still think there's a big, giant leap that we still haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
And that we need to take to be a great league at developing players. We have a few names, but we don't have many names.
Right. With the national team, now that, we kind of finally woke up with Trinidad freaking knocking us out, where do you see the progress for the next World Cup? Obviously, I mean, I wouldn't rule out the United States for winning a World. I wouldn't rule out any country from winning the World Cup, because there could be a miracle like Leicester City winning the Premier League. So all these miracles happening. But where do you see the progress that this country is working on now in the next World Cup?
So I think this is a 2 World Cup project.
Okay.
I think So we're going to have a group of guys now that will be with us for both the 2022 World Cup and the 2026 World Cup.
Right.
And a lot of the guys won't be in their primes till the 2026 World Cup.
Right.
So to me, because we're hosting it and because we're going to have all these young talents in their prime, yeah, we don't know how they're going to turn out, but if they turn out the way we think they can, my goal, I know it's a reach, but I want to win the World Cup in 2026.
Wow.
Obviously, we want to win the World Cup every
Of course,
year.
yeah.
But I think that's going to be the do or die year.
Really?
With everything I've said, do I think it will happen? Probably not.
Well, we gotta stay optimistic, of course.
Yeah, you gotta stay optimistic, and I mean, everyone needs to reach for the moon.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know that old saying, "Reach for the moon and you'll end amongst the stars."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm reaching for the moon here. But I think the plan is for this 2022 World Cup, first of all, make it, and then kind of make a statement.
Right.
Whether or not we advance from the groups or not, just have like one thing happen, like whether we like upset the number one team in our group, something like that.
Right.
Where
kind of like what we
start to
did in
raise some eyebrows.
kind of like what we did in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Or 2014 or 2014.
2014.
Yeah, 2014, where I till this day I find it incredible how we made it out of, what was it, U.S., Germany, Ghana, and Portugal.
Exactly. If we could get out of our group, that would be amazing.
Right.
And we're probably going to be the like third best team or fourth best team in our group. I think that's just how they usually do it. I don't know what the theorem is for creating these groups, because I do feel like they make them ahead of time, but or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Basically, what you're saying is FIFA is a mafia. Yeah, we all get it. We all know that they are a mafia. I mean, I don't know when that shit would end, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah, they already know the groups for the 2020
Yeah,
or the
definitely.
2030 World Cup. Like, they already know it.
Yeah, of course. It's just a show to put on. That draw,
If we could make a statement at the 2022 World Cup, whether it's get out of our group or just like upset one team for one game, that's going to give us a lot of confidence heading into 2026.
Right.
And as our players continue to develop, I mean, we're looking at potential European stars. We're not sure. We don't know where Weston McKennie's going to be in 7 years from now. We don't know where Pulisic's going to be 7 years from now.
Right.
For all we know, they could all be busts. They could all be the wonder kids that never happened. But it doesn't look like that for all of them.
No, I honestly, I agree with you. I honestly think that with with the Trinidad loss, I honestly think this country has woken up a lot. And I mean, the stars that we have in Germany, I think they're doing a phenomenal job. And then, I said couple episodes back, that once we lost, it just seemed like there was young U.S. stars just popping up throughout the entire globe. It was like phenomenal. Like, oh, you have some in Germany, you have some in Turkey, you have some in Spain, you have some in England that me personally, I never knew. And it's like, where were they, or where were the coaches seeking them when we really needed them, to make it into the 2018 World Cup?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think, I agree with you with, if we do make that statement in 2022, coming home will be fantastic. It'd be really great to, go far as possible and possibly be, lift our first World Cup.
Yeah, so wait, think about it this way. I think home teams in World Cups always do better than they should. We look at just Russia this past World Cup. They outperformed expectations for sure. So imagine if we're already a top 16 or round of 16 team.
Right.
Develop 4 more years, and we're the home team.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be huge for the U.S. But yeah, let's get to the 2022 World Cup. Hopefully get out of our group, and then I think we're in a great position if those players that are with us in the 2022 World Cup just continue to get better and better like they're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I mean it's exciting. I mean I feel like as a U.S. fan, I feel more excited now than I've ever been because we have guys in all these guys in Germany. I mean, it's impressive. Honestly, it's impressive, and it's like wow, it gives us real hope. Not like I mean, no disrespect to the older guys like Dempsey and Altidore and all these guys. Don't get me wrong, they've done what they had to do. They did the best that they could. I feel like the coaches that called them up asked them to do a little bit too much, and it was like kind of overdue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I felt like it was time. Like, all right, we got to move on, and we got to look at our younger players. Kind of like what Joachim Löw, the German head coach, what he did. He was like, okay, Boateng, you did what you did. Now we got to move on. Mueller, you did what you did, and I forget the other guy. You did what you did. We got to move on to the young guys. And I feel like it's not really because me personally, I don't know if you agree with me that a lot of U.S. fans they blame the players, but if you really think about it, who's in charge of calling these players? It's the coaches, right? I mean, the coaches, they call these players, and it's like, dude, they're 30, 33, 34, and they're doing everything they can for that shirt, for that country, but they age, especially MLS is growing. And it's growing physically. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's growing very physically. And the players, yeah, exactly. It's fantastic. But the older players, they can't really do much for the national team if they're playing in a growing league that's very physical. And then you show up to the national team and you're kind of tired. You got to get those fresh legs out there. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely agree with everything you just said. And it's tough because.
It is tough.
You want to hang on to a player as long as you can.
Right.
A guy, I mean, we hung on to Clint Dempsey literally until his legs couldn't go or his heart couldn't beat anymore.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. But, I mean, I'd like to thank the past generation because they are the ones who probably inspired a lot of these young kids.
100%.
And as much as I hated not making the 2018 World Cup, I'm kind of thankful.
Right, exactly.
That we didn't, in a weird way.
Definitely.
Just because I feel like we're never going to let what happened again. Like, we're not going to let what happened in 2018 ever happen again.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it was such a humiliation to us that it's like we can never, ever let that happen to us again. I mean, it probably won't happen for another, 100 years. Or we won't be even here to see that happen. But I don't think it would ever happen. If anything, it's just success we see from here on out.
Yeah. And, I think that's all I really have to touch on that national team squad.
Real quick, before we end this up, Gold Cup, what do you see happening?
What do I see happening? So I am not the biggest fan of the Gold Cup. I mean, it's a fun tournament or whatever. It's just you never really have the best competition.
That's true.
And, I mean, neither U.S., Mexico, they don't really call up their number one guys. So it is fun to see some guys who don't usually get a shot to get that shot. I'm interested in the Women's World Cup this round.
Oh, yeah.
Or this year.
Definitely.
More than the Gold Cup. I don't know. You can't really predict who's going to win it just because we don't know who's going to be on those rosters. You can't just predict, obviously, because Pulisic, McKennie, you got those guys. But, those guys probably aren't even going to be on the Gold Cup squad. We don't know.
Right.
So Gold Cup's not my favorite tournament. I can't really predict a winner because, I don't know. I'm just going to say the U.S. just because I love the U.S. and that's my team. But, there's nothing more I can really add. We don't know the squads yet or anything. We don't know it. I don't know. I feel like coaches are more experimental during that time with the way they play games, their tactics, each and every game. So the Gold Cup is interesting for that, but when it comes to competition, it's definitely not my favorite.
I agree. Yeah, because I mean, it's always been either U.S. or Mexico. Jamaica pops up once in a while. Costa Rica pops up once in a while, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not like the Euro Cup or the Copa America where it's like you really don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's kind of like shit in your pants.
And after that Copa America in 2016, I think the U.S. should be involved in it all the time. Obviously, it's not their choice. If we want real competition every 2 years, we'd be in the Copa America.
Yeah, I agreed 100%.
Yeah, tell me 2016 Copa America Centenario wasn't like the most fun tournament
Oh
ever.
my lord, yeah, it really was.
Like-
Especially, I mean, being in the country, it just gives you that extra spice. But
Exactly.
it was really really fun, you know,
And
to
the US came in
merge.
fourth. The
Yeah,
US
that's
came in
right.
fourth.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So that was actually a really good, you know, stepping stone. But then, you know, they had those complications in 2018. But
Yeah.
well, Eli.
It's-
Oh no, go ahead.
well, one thing I wanted to bring up just about the 2018 World Cup cycle.
Yeah.
I knew the U.S. was not going to make... I didn't think they were not going to make it, but I knew it wouldn't end well, per se,
Right.
when we lost a very early on game against Guatemala.
Oh, that's right.
That 2016 game, or 2015 it could have been.
Yeah.
It was a very early on in the cycle. We just had to play Guatemala.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was with Jurgen Klinsmann. And he starts Mix Diskerud. He plays Jeff Cameron as like a center midfielder. And I saw
that's
that game.
right. Yeah.
And then we ended up losing that. And I'm like, this is not going to end well. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what exactly I was thinking when I said, this is not going to end well. But like, I feel like you could trace all of that happened in 2018 back to that one game. And I think that's where we lost our World Cup spot.
Yeah, dude, you're right. Shit, I didn't even remember that until now.
That's when everything went crazy. I think all the problems started to happening. We saw Jurgen leave or get fired, and then Bruce get hired. Like, I can't really blame Bruce. Obviously, it's everyone's fault. But
yeah, but I mean, you can't really expect Bruce to come in and wave a goddamn wand and be like, all right, everything's fine again. We're a World Cup winning team. Like, you can't just expect that to happen.
And yeah, exactly what you said. I just feel like there's a lot of mental problems that happened after that game.
Right.
And I think there's a mentality that the U.S. takes, which is just totally toxic and not good.
Right.
Just thinking, oh yeah, we're going to play on this shitty field out in Guatemala. It's definitely not like our fields, but like we're just going to have to play on it, and you know, we're just going to have to be careful. Like, stuff like that mentality is stupid and it's bullshit, and it's that type of mentality's got to stop, and I think we've seen that for generations and generations of U.S. players. I mean, we see that in Europe, too, when they play maybe some smaller country teams.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a terrible mentality that the U.S. has taken, and I think that's a lot of why we failed in the U.S. or in the 2018 World Cup.
Right.
But this generation is different. These young guys are now hungry.
Yeah.
Very, very hungry to bring that legacy back to where it was. Or I don't even know where it was back then. But just like bring the legacy back and then just push it forward and create something brand new and just rebrand what U.S. soccer is. And that's why I'm excited for this generation.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, you can definitely see that there is hunger, there is dedication, there is commitment, and they really, really want to push. You know, they want to really make history with the U.S. They don't want to just, you know, be another team that, you know, will be remembered for that 1 year. They want this to really last long and, you know, kind of have a pull of Spain, where Spain won the Euro Cup, then the World Cup, then the Euro Cup, and they were kind of dominant for a long time.
Yeah.
I can see that hunger with these players coming in, and, you know, trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. These guys, and I think what's helped with this is not just the fact that we lost the World Cup, or we lost our spot in the World Cup, but the fact that these players, these young players, they have to prove themselves at the club level, too.
Yeah, oh, of course.
So at this point in their careers, it's all about just, like, becoming known and getting that roster spot, getting that spot in the starting 11.
Yeah.
And these players that are going to Europe are having to fight for their spots. And that's keeping them hungry 365 days of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that could only benefit the U.S. national team, as you're going to get those hungry players who are already fighting for their stuff on their club, and now they have to fight for their country. And I think these guys have what it takes to be able to fight for both. and that's why this team is so fun to watch, and it's going to be so fun to watch as they make this run to make the World Cup in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, and I definitely think that, like you said, this Gold Cup, they should definitely take advantage and use it, not to win and not to, fight with Mexico because they're rivals, but to use it as an experiment and see where and what should we do in preparation for the qualifications to make it to 2022.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for me. Do you have anything else that you would like to add or
No,
like to
just,
talk about?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm wearing the Kenny Seth jersey right now.
Hey,
Very
nice.
awesome. It's actually my favorite jersey.
Oh, dude, awesome! Hey, I'm also working on getting you the All-Star one. I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for Adidas to release it because I guess they don't release it till maybe like a month or something. But as soon as that comes in, hopefully you'll get 40,000 followers. So maybe we could just slap that on there instead of 30.
Oh yeah. We'll keep it updated.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. I love this podcast. Love what you guys are doing, and yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to come on again if you need an MLS guy. I don't want to bore you guys with MLS when you guys are
man, listen.
Premier League.
No, definitely. No, listen. As long as we get to entertain the listeners and actually teach them about MLS, because that's the thing about what I'm doing with this podcast is I'd like to teach the listeners that there's not just Premier League, there's not just La Liga, there's not just Champions League, there's the CONCACAF Champions League, there's the MLS, there's the J League, there's the Brazilian League. There's a world of football out there that you can really enjoy. And you being an MLS guy, I mean, it's fantastic for the show. You know what I'm saying? You can really teach. I mean, even me, because I'm still learning a little bit, because obviously I'm spread out really thin, learning and keeping up with this league and this player and that player. But you being an MLS guy, I mean, it's fantastic. And even with the other guys that you keep up with, spreading out the news with MLS, I mean, I think it's fantastic for the league. I think it's fantastic for this country. And it's great that you help us learn and keep up with the league so that it's not falling behind and it's just growing with the league itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just love what I do, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world.
That's awesome, dude. And listen, not being fake at all, I mean, I truly admire, what you're doing and how you're doing it. Ever since, I followed you and I got in contact with you, I've truly, truly been a fan. Like, I know I do a podcast and you do your own podcast, but I've truly been a fan of what you do. I really, really admire it. I mean, it's really fantastic, and it's something that should be really recognized. Like, if I had, like, a bigger platform to reach out, I mean, you'd be on there right with me, because what you do, to shed light on the league that people make fun of, in other countries and other continents, it's ridiculous. But how you help it grow, and along with the other MLS pages, I mean, it's fantastic, and it's actually beautiful on what you guys do and how you do it. And on top of that, you're not getting paid for this. This is something that you're very passionate about, and it's fantastic. I mean, it deserves recognition. I mean, whoever doesn't admire it and admire you, I mean, fuck them, because they don't know what they're saying, they don't know what they're thinking. But I truly thank you for coming on the show, and I thank you for what you're doing for the league and just for the sport in general. It doesn't even have to be for like Premier League or anything like that, but it's fantastic, and I'm telling you, I'm a huge supporter, and I will continue to support until I stop liking the sport, which will be never, or anything else. But again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I don't get paid, but I kind of treat it like an investment.
Right.
I want to see what this account could lead me to in the future, I guess.
Right.
But I wouldn't be where I am today without all of the supporters of every team being super fans of their team and now trying to learn about the league. Shout out to all those guys. They know who they are. Can I give some shout-outs?
No, dude, hey, right. This is your floor now.
Shout out to Mimi Boy. He kept me motivated. Shout out to MLS News. or Newsy, like we call him. Shout out to MLS Fanbase, Josh, who is coming out with some dope MLS merch.
Nice.
Which is dope. Shout out to LAFC Universe. Shout out to everyone in the group chat. They know who they are. Shout out to my parents. Shout out to my mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Nice.
She's probably a bigger fan than I am.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that is not an exaggeration.
That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to everyone. Shout out to you guys. And yeah, thank you for having me. We're going to give it to Noah_Wagner.
Noah_Wagner, congratulations. You win a free, you don't have to pay for shipping either. That comes out of my pocket. You'll win a free MLS jersey. If you're listening to this, I hope you are, because if you're not, this is going to be a real pain in the ass, because then I got to track you down, and I got to find you, message you.
I'll track him down. Good.
You win a free MLS jersey of your choice. If you want a name on it, feel free to message us, and we'll get the name and number. And congratulations, you are the winner of the free MLS jersey contest giveaway.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you. And that was the episode with This Week in MLS. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I mean, the guy is very, very knowledgeable, very, very smart. He knows his stuff. And, I mean, man, if he was in front of me, I would have just give him a big hug, round of applause, because, man, was I entertained. Thank you again, guys. A huge thank you for This Week in MLS. Hopefully we get him in more in the future. Guys, if you don't follow him already, number one, shame on you. If you guys want to learn a lot about the MLS and know a lot and what's going on with the MLS, he is the perfect guy and pretty much one of the only guys to go to. Follow him at This Week in MLS, and let's hope you guys join us May 26th. May 26th is Yard Sale of Champions. It'll be right here in my own backyard. We'll be doing a show with Futbol. We have DTG coming back, and we'll have plenty of MLS jerseys, La Liga jerseys, you name it, any jersey you want. Thank you again, and take care, guys.